Hey SACFam, welcome back to part 2 of Extinction. Now in this video, we're going to talk about the summary of Act 1. Now the plot actually begins with an American zoologist, Piper, who has received an injured tiger quoll from a man who has ran it over with his Land Rover. The man is the CEO of Powerhouse Mining. His name is Harry Jewell. The reason why Harry has hit the poor tiger quoll is because he was distracted on the road talking to his daughter on the phone. His daughter's complaining to him that he had destroyed her life for breaking up with her mother. Now Harry has broken up with his wife because she cheated on him with his best friend. Now Piper's looking up on the internet about tiger quolls. There are several reasons why she's doing this. There aren't many tiger quolls left. There's not a lot of information about them. So how do you rescue and save and treat an injured tiger quoll? And her being a zoologist, her understanding of how to offer treatment to animals is also quite limited. While treating the tiger quoll, Piper and Harry flirtatiously speak with one another, almost as though they are going to forget about the fact that the tiger quoll has been injured. Luckily, the vet arrives, Andy. Andy Dixon checks the quoll and asks Piper a few questions about what she has done. He also asks Harry about his GPS to find the location of where exactly he hit it so that hopefully they can find more tiger quolls. But Andy's quite impatient with Harry, and there are quite a few reasons for his agitations there. But I'll let you figure that out. Andy's able to quickly identify that the tiger quoll has a broken back. And before saying anything further, he goes ahead and euthanizes it. Now Piper and Harry are shocked and they are completely disheartened by what happened so quickly. Harry grabs his coat, is ready to leave. Then Piper and Harry exchange cards, and Piper prepares to leave as well. Just as Piper leaves, Andy collapses to the floor as he picks up the card and finds out that it is none other but Harry Jewell. Andy has a sister who lives in an apartment in the city. Now she is a professor, Professor Heather Dixon Brown. She's drinking tequila on her balcony with Piper. It is revealed here that Andy and Piper is a couple, and Piper is unhappy with how Andy has euthanized the tiger quoll. They eventually make up, and Andy tells Piper about the man who came that night, that he is actually the managing director of Powerhouse Mining. Andy also tells Piper that this particular company has applied for a license to explore the brown coal in the Otway Forest. So that means the Otway Forest will be vulnerable to being deforested, and many of these habitats of these endangered and vulnerable animals will be destroyed. All of that in the meantime, Heather Dixon is talking about the funding that she's trying to get more so that she can complete more research. Her research is mainly based on calculating the exact number that will be perfect for her scientists to continue finding ways to help a certain species survive. Now that particular number, if it's less than that particular number, that species is considered not worth saving. But if a certain population number reaches that index, that particular Heather Dixon number, only then those species will be continued into putting in more efforts into making sure that they survive. Now Piper is not happy with this suggestion. She wants to continue working on her koala project, and she doesn't want to spend too much time behind a desk. Piper is all about getting out there and working on what is good for the environment instead of working in a city apartment or in an institute away from the nature of life where the wildlife is. As it is also Heather Dixon's birthday, they will have to get ready for a dinner that night. Piper is convinced to go home and get changed because she was actually dressed in overalls, and Heather Dixon was planning to have a formal dinner. So for everyone to be dressed in a formal attire. As soon as Piper leaves, Andy reveals to Heather that he collapsed that night. He expresses the concern that this might be the start of a certain inherited disease. Dixon argues that he needs to tell Piper, but he refuses because he does not want her to be spending her life looking after him. Back at the animal shelter in the Otway Forest, Piper is talking to her mother over Skype, and they are talking about her pet dog, Beast, back in America. Her mother tells her that Beast is very sick and needs to be euthanized. Piper breaks down and she insists that this isn't fair, and she blames her mother for not looking after Beast well enough. She is also informed that it will cost around $15,000 to treat him. Andy leaves and Harry arrives at the animal shelter. They have a very short discussion about Piper's dog, and Harry offers Piper money for the dog's treatment. Then Piper mentions that Harry is a coal miner and that he is not welcome here. But Harry rebuts this and says that he is bringing more jobs to the local community there, and he actually wants to set up a project to save the tiger quolls. Harry then invites Piper to go to Kangaroo Island with him. She rejects him and tells him that she is already in a relationship. Late that night, Andy arrives at Heather Dixon's apartment. He was drunk and upset. They talk about his doctor's appointment. He actually asked his GP to put him down. But the doctor said no, and the doctor said that he can have anything up to 5 years. Their grandfather had the exact same illness and was very ill by the time he was Andy's age. Heather Dixon once again encourages Andy to tell Piper and all his friends, but he still does not want to lug around the weight of another person's misery in addition to his own. In the next scene, Harry arrives at Dixon's office to discuss the idea for a project to save the tiger quoll. This shows that he actually meant it when he said he was going to invest money and come up with a project to save the tiger quolls in the Otway Forest. He offers $2 million to fund a cat eradication program, a survey of the flora and fauna in the area, and habitat restoration. Heather Dixon expresses concern about the money coming from a mining company, and she is aware that it can be viewed as very compromising. But Harry explains that his motives are very sentimental, that the quoll reminds him of his childhood when he was happy. At the end of the conversation, Heather Dixon and Harry arrange to have dinner that evening. I should also add that Heather Dixon is a divorced woman who is currently... She claims that she's not in search of a relationship, but she is also older than Piper, and she is, biologically speaking, running out of time. In the following scenes, Andy and Piper fall into another argument. They were discussing the possibility of Piper not returning to San Diego in USA, and instead staying in Australia, but Andy tries to dissuade her, telling her that she needs to fulfill her life and not stay here or get stuck in Australia. Piper pushes despite Andy's attempts to change the topic, and he eventually tells her that he can't commit in the long haul. But he also refuses to elaborate why. So Piper gets very upset that Andy's unable to commit to their relationship and leaves. In the final scene of this act, Piper arrives in Dixon's office to find Harry discussing Dixon's divorce and Harry's mining business. In this moment, Harry becomes aware of the relationship between her, Andy, and Dixon. They all discuss about the Tiger Quoll project, how Harry and the Powerhouse Mining Company is going to fund the project to find the remaining quolls and restore them. Dixon asks Piper to run the project at the end of the scene, but Piper's response is, no way. So that's the end of Act 1. Now, to get notified for the next video coming up with our plot summary of Act 2, make sure that you are subscribed to our videos. Make sure you click on the little bell next to the subscribe button. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, and give this video a thumbs up if I've helped you out. That means a lot to me. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.